to another installment of MWC TV. My name is Tim Rundel. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of Midwest City. And with me today is Paul Streets. Now, Paul is my Stormwater Quality Manager, but he's been a very valuable part of our recycling team and our recycling effort here in Midwest City. Tell us a little bit about the history of the recycling in Midwest City and what we got to look forward to.
Yeah, in the past, Midwest City used a drop-off facility, a satellite location on Jim White Drive near Public Works, and residents had to load up their recyclables, store them, and then load them up and take them to the facility and separate them at the facility, make sure that they're in the correct boxes. Cardboard had to be flattened. It was kind of a long process and had to endure a lot, and 9 times out of 10 they showed up and the boxes were full. Didn't have a whole lot of space, and so we tried to evaluate several options and ultimately did a survey online and through Facebook and actually mailed the survey out and had very positive feedback. And most residents were interested in being able to have a curbside service where they didn't have to drive somewhere or collect their recyclables. So ultimately that led to a decision to send out an RFP. And we sent out an RFP to do curbside single stream, which means all of your recyclables go into one container. You're not having to separate them all, and it's commingled. And then you take that to the curb, and it's picked up. You don't have to drive it anywhere. You don't have to do anything with it. Just make sure that you're careful about what you put in the container, and it gets hauled off.
Now, the program itself is getting kickstarted in the month of June. Tell us a little bit about as far as what's going to be done in June, as far as what the residents are going to be able to see, as far as the delivery.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited about it. It's been a long time, Tim. We've had this. It seems like it's taken such a long time to get here. But Republic Services, who was awarded the contract, started taking delivery of our carts, our recycling carts, June 10th. And then taking them and essentially bringing them to the residents with a packet included, an educational packet, and they're going to continue that delivery until the last day of June. I believe it's the 28th of June, and then July 1st, the first pickup of the recyclables starts at the curb.
Okay, fantastic. And you talked about the packet that's in the container itself.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what the residents ought to be able to expect.
We put together a packet along with Republic Services that would try to communicate all the do's and don'ts of recycling and help residents understand what they needed to do and how they can get started with the program. The very first thing was a letter from the City of Midwest City. Kind of describes who they need to call if you have a question or concerns, some basic outline on the program, when it started and how long ago this has been working for a long time, and then some very vital information. You've got a website that you can go to and an email address if you want additional information or you want to provide feedback. On the back side of that letter, I was a little too quick with that. The back side of the letter, we've got a commodity sheet, and the commodity sheet actually kind of gives a brief description of the materials that you can recycle, and it actually gives some pictorial examples and some description underneath it. So it should be very helpful, and it also has some items that we want to avoid. Obviously, not everything is recyclable. Something needs to go in the trash. Some things aren't recyclable or even worthy of going in the trash. They're dangerous. They need to be diverted into the household hazardous waste program. And so those are briefly described at the bottom of that sheet. In addition to that letter, we also have a calendar which gives A and B weeks for when your trash is going to be picked up if you fall into an A or a B week. And then it also gives a bit of a map, which is the boundaries of Midwest City, and then tells you which area is A and which area is B week, and then what days you'll be picked up. The nice thing, one of the wonderful things about this program, Republic and Midwest City worked very hard to make sure that the trash and the recyclables are picked up on the same day. Try to reduce the confusion. A lot of people may not, well, when do I take it out? Now they know it's going to go out on the same day as your trash every other week. So you roll it out to the curb, and that's part of the reason we did a 95-gallon upright. It's a larger container, and hopefully you'll be able to put more recyclables in it, and it's getting picked up every 2 weeks. So all they've got to do is look and see which week A and B week is and where they fall into the city, and they will be able to determine what day they need to take their cart out with their trash. The other thing kind of important is a reminder that obviously it starts July 1st. So if you get your cart, and most people, or at least I think up to this point right now, we've had about 4,500 households that have their carts now. You can put your recyclables in the cart, but realize it'll be July 1st before the program actually starts and they start picking it up. And then the last item, which was kind of a nice little feature, is a magnet. And admittedly, it's a little bit small in the print, but we didn't want to take up too much space on the fridge. But it gives a brief description of some of the items that you can recycle, and it's in a nice, cool little shape of the recycle bin. So hopefully that provides the information that a resident needs. And if they have any questions, of course, they can call customer service or Public Works.
Fantastic. And we're going to talk with Paul here in depth here in just a few minutes about what exactly, you've got your fridge magnet here telling you the do's and don'ts of what you can and what you cannot throw into, which is very important. And Paul's going to discuss that here in a little bit. So,
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we've got a few items here that will give you a visual representation of what we expect. We hope you will be able to make the right choice and throw it in the recycle bin instead of the trash. So first up is a cardboard box. Obviously, you get a lot of these in your UPS packaging, FedEx, or even stuff that you may go buy. The important part about this is boxes take up a lot of space. So the very important part about this is you want to collapse it so that it's very small and it doesn't take up quite as much space in your recycle bin. So it's very important that if you decide to recycle your pizza box, take the pizza out of the box, throw that in the trash, and put the pizza box in your recycle bin. We've had some people ask about film, plastic film, like wrappers on CDs and some of those things, cigarettes. That particular film is not recyclable. That needs to be thrown in the trash. But this particular plastic, like you might see, this looks like it may have had some doorknobs or a flashlight in it. A lot of times you'll get these with your products that you buy. They may even be a little secure, for instance, Best Buy or wherever. Make sure that you don't have any material in it, but you can take and recycle that plastic. Milk jug. These, believe it or not, are a very valuable commodity in terms of recycling. So if you have milk jugs, same thing. You can toss it in like this, which takes up a little more space, or you can roll it, get some of the air out of that, and takes up less space. Biggie, I'll tell you, I don't know about you guys, but we go through a lot of laundry detergent and any of the softener and any of your bleach products that you use. As long as the container's empty, that means get as much out of it as possible. You don't need to rinse it, but get as much out as possible, and then you can go ahead and take this and put it in your recycle bin. Another very popular item is bottles of water. Now this goes for any kind, so it's soda pop or Coke or Pepsi, whatever you would like to call it, and or water, juice, but the best thing to do is to actually take and collapse the bottle. That takes up a lot less space and won't hurt anything. You don't need to remove the labels or anything else. If it is a juice bottle, you want to make sure that you give it a quick rinse. You don't need to wash it out, but do a quick rinse before you toss it in your recycle bin. Glass bottles, you want to make sure with this glass bottle's missing its lid, but you can actually take your lids and your bottles, just make sure you pull it off. Don't leave the lid on the bottle that you put in the recycle bin, because the steel in the lid is recyclable and the glass is recyclable. So drop that in there. Now we'll talk about a couple of other glass containers. You've got some wine bottles, your typical wine bottle, and it doesn't matter whether it's green, clear, or brown. Any wine bottle, any bottle, glass, you can go ahead and put in the recycle bin. Here's a good example of a soda bottle or a Coke or anything else. You can obviously put that in the bin as well. Coke cans, as I mentioned earlier, whether it be, regardless of the brand, aluminum can go in your recycle bin. And you have a choice, you can crush it or throw it in as the can. It would just normally be a steel can. So if you've got pork and beans or green beans and you're eating it out of a can, in the past, really couldn't recycle these. We couldn't even take them to our convenience center. There was no way that you had to throw it in the trash. Nice thing now, instead of the trash, we're diverting it to the recycle bin, which then it gets recycled and not thrown away. Aluminum foil usually you use it in the kitchen or what have you. You can take it, fold it, crumple it, whatever you like. It's also recyclable. Paper products like this flyer that we had for the city of Midwest City. This particular paper, it is colored, but it can be recycled. That can go in your recycle bin as well. Junk mail, like you see here, a lot of times you get an envelope, everybody gets an OG&E bill, and obviously these can also be recycled. The envelopes, the paper that's inside of it, obviously shred important information that has if you have anything on it that might have your personal identification number or identifying information, make sure you shred that. And shredded paper, believe it or not, can also go in your recycle bin. So another good example of paper, this is the Daily Oklahoman, excuse me. And this, of course, is also recyclable. We want to make sure we put that in there. Another biggie, I'll tell you, one of my big complaints for years, we get phone books and phone books. It's like I come home and they've multiplied. There's now like 4 or 5 by my mailbox, and I'm not sure why they're there. Well, phone books now, old ones, new ones, if you don't want to keep them, can go in the recycle bin. It is recyclable. And at work, we get magazines and catalogs and lots of them. Well, the important thing is in the past, if you were going to recycle them, you had to take them to your local school, to an Libris dumpster. It's the green and yellow dumpsters. Now you have the option of actually recycling it at your back door and taking it down to the street. If you want to support your local schools, because Middale schools are an integral part of our community, it's very important. You're welcome to do that. But if you wanted to go ahead and do it at the house, put it in your recycle bin. I'm going to give you an example of something that we don't want to see. A lot of times you might see pesticides or some chemicals. These sort of things need to be diverted. You don't want them thrown in your trash or your recycle bin. We're going to set that aside and talk about that in a minute. Unfortunately, and there's a lot of these around, styrofoam cups. Styrofoam, whether it be plates or cups, can't go in your recycle bin. This is called polystyrene, and unfortunately, we don't have a way. It needs to be thrown in the trash. There's no good way to recycle this material right now. So for the time being, it goes in the trash. Another one of these that's kind of an iffy, this is a motor oil bottle. Motor oil is another one of these. Now, admittedly, you think you might be able to get it all out of there. Oil contaminates, and I know plastics are made from oil or hydrocarbons. The fact of the matter is, oil can contaminate the recyclables. So we definitely don't want to put that in there. We want to divert that. That's going to have to go in the trash. If there's oil in the container, you can actually bring it to the household waste facility along with your pesticides and other paints and automotive products, and for free. It doesn't cost you anything as a Midwest City resident. Although this is paper towels are paper, generally it's used to clean things up. It's used to wipe your hands. So once that paper towel's been used for something, it can't be recycled. In fact, we recommend don't put paper towels in your recycle bin. Please put your paper towels in the trash. Diapers, even though it's paper and plastic, very important. You cannot recycle it. It has to go in the trash. In fact, it's important to remember, you can't flush them down the toilet either. If you flush this down the toilet, it may become lodged and back up your sewer. So it's very important that you throw it in the trash. And another item to consider, even though food, which is often very good to eat, I won't complain. I love a good banana here and there. You can't recycle it. And in fact, it'll ruin your recyclables. So remember, when you're done with your food, in the trash. And then last, I want to show another example, a good example of a container, an insecticide. This is a big no-no, and the reason I kind of saved it to last, hopefully you hung in there. I know you might be snoring away waiting on us to get to the end of this, but I'll tell you, it's very important. This right here is a pressurized aerosol can. And I know it sounds like I'm talking about a bomb, but the reality is, if you put one of these in one of these containers and it gets put in a trash truck or in the back of one of these recycling trucks, well, it can explode and injure not only the workers, it could catch the truck on fire. Those trucks are very, very expensive and cost taxpayers a lot of money. So if you have pressurized containers, and what I mean by that is an aerosol can, you're going to have a little bit of a raised portion up here, a ridge around here, and usually a nozzle of some kind. So any aerosol can, whether it be cleaners, degreasers, automotive products, insecticides, pesticides, you do not put aerosol cans or any other household hazardous waste in your recycling bin or your trash. Please call the household waste facility to make an appointment, and that number is 739-1049, 739-1049, and make an appointment and bring it to us for free. It doesn't cost you a dime, and we'll make sure to help you get rid of that appropriately. That pretty much takes care of our presentation, at least regarding the items that we could put in here, the visual representation. If you have any questions at all, you can refer to the sheet that came in your educational packet or visit the Midwest City website, where we have a lot of good information related to facts and figures about recycling and frequently asked questions. So if you have a problem finding the information you need, feel free to go to the website or call 739-1063, 739-1063, and that'll get you the Public Works Administration, and someone will be able to answer your questions or at least direct you to the right folks that can answer your questions. Thank you very much for your time today.